Welcome back to Tech in 10. We've built a complete picture of how Python organizes and checks data, covering Pydantic, PyYAML, and Marshmallow. Today, we're closing out this block with JSON Schema. It's a tool built specifically to take raw JSON data and validate it directly against a formally defined structured schema. But this brings up an obvious question. If you're already using Pydantic to validate your Python data with familiar classes and types, why would you need to learn a completely different specification written entirely in plain JSON? Using the wrong validation layer won't necessarily crash your application. What it does is create architectural friction the second your application needs to talk to systems outside of your local Python environment. If you use a Python-specific tool to define the rules for a public API, any external team using JavaScript or Go is forced to guess your expected data structures. That friction is why language-agnostic tools have to exist. Let's map this out on a quadrant chart to see exactly where these tools fit. The x-axis represents how tied the schema is to Python, moving from Python-specific on the left to language-agnostic on the right. The y-axis tracks behavior, whether the tool converts data into native objects or just checks raw formats. If we plot Pydantic and Marshmallow, they sit in the top left quadrant. They occupy this space because they are Python-native tools designed specifically to take incoming data and transform it into usable Python objects. JSON Schema lands in the exact opposite corner, down in the bottom right. It doesn't convert anything, and it isn't written in Python. The choice between these isn't about which is better. It's a structural trade-off between local convenience for your Python developers and global interoperability for everyone else. Let's look at a comparison matrix to see how those specific trade-offs play out in practice. On the input side, Pydantic asks you to define your schemas using native Python syntax, standard Python classes, and field types. The outcome is developer convenience. You validate the data and immediately get a native Python object you can work with. But the trade-off is that your schema is locked into the Python ecosystem. That Python class is useless to a JavaScript frontend or a Go client trying to understand your API. JSON Schema takes a different approach. You write the schema as a formal, plain JSON document. The outcome is a single, unified source of truth. Any client application, regardless of its programming language, can read that exact same schema to validate its own data. The trade-off is that you sacrifice native Python syntax and must validate the raw data before you ever convert it into a usable Python object. You choose JSON Schema when the experience of your external API consumers is more important than the internal convenience of the team building it. It's easy to look at a plain JSON document and assume it lacks the validation power of a full programming language. But JSON Schema provides a comprehensive vocabulary. You can specify minimum and maximum values for numbers, set strict length limits for strings, use regular expressions for pattern matching, and apply strict enum constraints to restrict a field to a specific set of allowed values. This mirrors the exact same range of built-in constraints we saw using Pydantic's field function back in episode 54. The validation power is equal. It is really just the verbosity that differs. Even if you never write a JSON schema manually, you are likely already relying on it. Look at the architecture stack for Fast API. It automatically generates complete, fully interactive API documentation. Beneath Fast API lies the Open API specification. Open API itself uses JSON Schema to precisely describe what data every single endpoint expects and returns. JSON Schema underlies a massive amount of modern API tooling, functioning as the unseen standard behind the Python wrappers we interact with every day. We can also apply this raw data validation outside of web APIs entirely, specifically when configuring applications with PyYAML. Recall from our previous episode that when PyYAML loads a configuration file, it converts that file into an ordinary raw Python dictionary. Because JSON Schema is designed to validate that exact kind of dictionary-like structure, you can pass that loaded YAML data directly into the JSON Schema validate function. This does require you to manage and maintain a separate JSON Schema file alongside your configuration, simply to check the YAML contents. Despite that overhead, it gives you a rigorous, language-independent safety net, catching errors in your configuration files before they ever touch your application logic. JSON Schema is not a replacement for Pydantic. They are tools built for completely different architectural scopes. Ask who consumes your data. If consumed entirely internally using Python, stick with Pydantic to maximize ergonomics. But if you have multiple languages or a public API, use JSON Schema as a universal source of truth for external clients. Ultimately, your system boundaries and your external consumers dictate the right validation tool for your project, not your own personal syntax preferences. That brings us to the end of our data validation and configuration block. We covered Pydantic for modern Python, PyYAML for human-readable configuration, and Marshmallow for historical serialization. And now JSON Schema completes the picture as the universal language-independent standard. In our next episode, we are moving into Block 12, covering automation and command line interfaces, starting with Click. Mastering this 4-part toolkit gives you the ability to define, validate, and organize your data across any scale and inside any language environment. Make sure you're subscribed, and we will see you in the next one.